Well, welcome everyone to the second International Conference on Pig Livability. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here to Omaha for this conference, for this meeting, and share our ideas, to have engagement, and to really talk about an important issue in the pork industry. So I want to thank you all for being here and taking the time out of your schedules to invest in yourselves, to invest in your organizations, and to invest in the people around you to advance our commitment to continuous improvement in the pork industry. There's a timeline that I want to share a little bit about this project. This has been something that's evolved over the last really decade, you might say, and it really started back in around 2015, 2016, that a lot of pork producers were raising the hands and saying, hey, we have some issues with pelvic organ prolapse in our system, and started talking about it and engaging other producers and engaging folks at academic institutions, engaging leadership at the National Pork Board. And then in 2016, the Animal Science Committee at the National Pork Board, under Chris Hostetler's leadership, funded a survey project on pelvic organ prolapse. And that's really when we started developing a team focused on improving pig livability and thinking about this very intentionally and where the research questions are, what the research studies should be conducted, and how to develop those teams and bring in industry partners to work together to draw on solutions. A couple years later, the Animal Science Committee and the Pork Board, again with Chris Hostetler's leadership, found matching funds with the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research and awarded a $2 million project to initiate the consortium approach to what we're here for today. And that's been a collaboration with many faculty from Iowa State and K-State and many, many industry producers along the way as well. It's been very productive. We had a conference, the first conference we had, some of you were here in this room in 2021. And that was a great launch to that project. We would have liked to have had that conference sooner, but we had to work through the COVID navigation. Some of you might remember that. And we've continued to work on that and continued to invest. And the industry has continued to invest in it as well. And in 2024, the National Pork Board provided funding for a 2-year continuation, which we're working on now. And David Rosero has stepped into a leadership role with Joel DeRouchey representing K-State to continue the efforts of this important project. So this has been not only the funding from FR and the National Pork Board and Checkoff. This is, because it's Checkoff, this is the industry's project. This is the industry's consortium. But I want you to know it's been a great investment. It's had return on investment. And the faculty and programs at these institutions that have been engaged in it have continued to leverage that for additional funding year over year to expand the impact of this work. It's been a great team of people focused on pigs, people, and producers, right? And what I would say is that I've worked on a lot of collaborations over my career at Iowa State University, and this has been one of the most satisfactory collaborations I've ever been a part of, because it really is the most organized team around a central core issue that really matters to the industry, and it really drives the motivation for the people that are doing the work. So there's a lot of great people involved. As I mentioned, the faculty from Iowa State and K-State, and Dr. DeRouchey will mention some of those. The National Pork Board leadership and Chris Hostetler has been instrumental for this project in cultivating it and stirring it along. Obviously, the producers that have engaged with us in research partnerships, allied industry that's partnered on projects, and our producer advisory board have all been instrumental in how we prioritize projects and how we've conducted projects and how we put that information out to the industry, which is what today is really about. And then graduate students and trainees are really the core component. They're the functional unit of our teams because they lead the projects on the front lines. Not only do they do the work and get it done, analyze the results, willing to be mentored and coached from the faculty, they're interested in being in the industry. And we've had a tremendous number of undergraduate and graduate students that have been supported by this project that are now working in the industry, and many that are currently working that will end up in the industry. So it's very much not only been focused on solving a solution or providing solutions, but providing people for the future of the industry. So again, I want to thank you all for being here. We had about 540, more than 540 registrations. That's an amazing turnout. I think that indicates the importance of this as a non-compete, centralized goal of the entire industry. And I also want to point out that this wouldn't be possible without the sponsorship that we have. And so some of the slides have been rolling with the sponsors. If you open up on the first page of the program, there's a list of all the sponsors on there. If you're here from a company that's sponsored this conference, could you please stand up? I think there's more than that. Okay, here we go. Yeah, let's thank them. So I want to thank you again for making this possible. For those of you that are here, investing in yourselves. And I think that's the important thing to think about this as you go through today and as you go through tomorrow, and you listen to the speakers and you have conversations in the hallway and you dialogue with each other, is to think differently. I want to challenge everyone in the room to think differently, to challenge your dogma. For those of you that don't know, dogma refers to a core set of beliefs or something that you adhere to strictly that you believe to be true. And as we all know, sometimes we adhere to dogma that isn't necessarily true. And so today I'm asking you to challenge yourselves in that, in the way that you think about how you do your business, how you care for animals, how you work with people, to challenge yourself in that and ask yourself if the core set of beliefs that you adhere to are serving you your best interest. And challenge yourself to walk away with something different at the end of tomorrow that you're going to do differently when you get back home. Because if you don't do something differently, and if you haven't challenged yourself to think differently while you're here, then you're not going to get a return on your investment of time and money for being here. So that's the challenge. Engage in that and create action when you leave here tomorrow. One important thing I want to mention on that timeline when I was talking through this, one of the most important pieces of that timeline happened in 2020 when I was able to hire Stacy Matchin. I don't know if Stacy's in here. She's probably over at the... Stacy, are you in here? Okay. Stacy's probably still helping people get registrations. What I will say is that Stacy has been an instrumental part of this team. She organizes regular calls with subgroups, with the large team, with the consortium, and she has invested an inordinate amount of time in making today possible. 540 some of us have the luxury to walk in here and everything's set up, slides are rolling, registrations are set, and that happens because of Stacy Matchin. So I don't know if she'll hear it, but let's give a round of applause for Stacy. And when you see her, make sure you thank her for her efforts. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that's unseen to make these types of events happen, and let her know that you see it and appreciate it. So it's my pleasure here to kick off with our first speaker, Dr. Joel DeRouchey. Joel has been a partner on this project since its inception, since the idea of even putting a proposal into the National Pork Board. Goes back to very early conversations with Dr. DeRouchey. He's been a faculty member at Kansas State University for 23 years, very productive swine nutritionist and part of their team in developing, evaluating, and disseminating the latest information to improve profitability of pork producers. In 2018, he received the National ASAS Extension Specialist Award. He's received the AFIA Non-Ruminant Nutrition Award and the Midwest ASAS National Pork Board Innovation Award, among several others as well. So Joel's been an extremely integral part of this project, and we'll talk to you about the tools and outcomes and some of the resources from this project. Thanks, Joel.
Yeah, I really appreciate, Jason set the conference up really well. This is something that we don't take lightly. We appreciate all that are here and all the different diversity of backgrounds and program areas. And really what I'd like to do is I'm going to highlight, again, some of the program purpose and then as well as get into our resources. Sometimes at the end, conferences, here's all of our stuff, right? But we're going to do that up front because we want to make sure there is an immense amount of time that's went into providing and putting together resources, take-home information that we have on our website, and we just want to point out some of that information. Dr. Ross kicked off the team, and so this, while I'm up here and he did the introductions, this is the group that helps do all the work. And so it's an interdisciplinary group from Iowa State and K-State that's part of the core team now. Formerly, Kara Stewart, when she was at Purdue, was part of this. And we represents animal science, vet med, all different sorts of disciplines that are involved in different parts of the program. And really, they're all key to making this a success. I would say, too, while this is a funded project with Iowa State and K-State, certainly, and there's many other universities represented in this room that focus time, training, effort, energy, and pig livability as well. And so again, as we look at holistically, I guess my message is going to be not only with this project, I'm going to have some messages about working across all of our universities and training students. One of the things that we adopted when we started this project is, while it's a group of academics organizing and putting this forward and doing the trainings and helping with the research, we have had a core group of industry advisors since the very beginning. And this group has changed over time. We've had people come in, come out based on roles and changes in responsibilities. But we meet with this group, actually the first, December 2nd, I believe, we're meeting with this group. And we go through and they give direct feedback of what's going on, some of the industry issues, potential research, kind of helps keep us gathered and relevant for the information that we're trying to do. And really appreciate this group for the time and effort they put in. And Dr. Ross mentioned, Chris Hosteller. Chris, where are you at? I know you're here. Can you stand up? Where are you at? Chris Hosteller of the National Pork Board, this program would not be possible without his visionary leadership. And this even goes back, for those that remember the Feed Efficiency Consortium that started in 2011. That was a joint project with Iowa State and K-State. We held 2 large international feed efficiency conferences in 2011 and 2015. So we're going back in the well. All right, we're going back a ways. Chris was instrumental in helping pull together Pork Board, and there was a lot of different groups that contributed to make that happen. He's been the visionary leader at Pork Board to help make this become possible, and just really appreciate all that he's done. I know Kevin Rasmussen with Pork Board is here as well. Appreciate all the support they've provided to make this project happen. So what is this project overall? And if we look at where we're at today, we talk about this consortium effort. That is, and on the next slide, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, our partners, all the other dollars that have come in. We've had seed money, and it's significant seed money, don't get me wrong, but all those dollars, there hasn't been a dollar of that spent on facilities, okay? We have money for people, and then some of the analysis for the project itself. But we've had this consortium of allied industry, many of you in the room, many direct production systems in the room have opened up their arms, allowed us to come in. We have had the people to help you with research and to go after ideas, but then you've offered your facility use for free, and we have a large amount of in-kind donations that have come from that in these partnerships. So really the focus is really on the sows, pre-weaning, wean to finish, and then to get information out to the industry. And what I'd like to point out this time, we're going to get at the end of my talk about where to go and get all that at piglivability.org. On your tables, there's some different little tents. A couple of those will have a QR code that links directly to our website of all the information. The other one, and you're going to hear this routinely, has to do with an impact survey. The only way that this will continue to be funded is showing return on investment. And in there is a very short survey of information that you can provide as a production system. Some of you in allied industry that have adopted technologies in partnership or have seen something that's come from this project, we are doing our best to document that because this project currently is scheduled to come to an end next summer in terms of funding from Pork Board. We need to continue to build and show the return on investment of pork checkoff dollars, and we need your help to be realistic in documenting some of those. So industry partners. And if this is groups that we've been able to work with to conduct research, or they have come in and helped fund research as part of larger projects. And we really appreciate the efforts of all these. And if you're part of this, we don't have your symbol up here, we apologize. Let us know and we'll get it up here. But really what this has turned into, over 1.7 million of in-kind support. So this is when we've went to these different production systems. They haven't charged for their facility use. They're not charging for the amount of time. Some people have a higher charge of time. If we go to work with Dr. Hastad, that's not very high time to charge. But we have others that are much higher. And so that there's donation of time. Chad and I were roommates in undergrad. We go back a long way, so I can make fun of him. But they've just opened their facilities and we can get things done. The other thing that's come from this is because of the information generated, it's allowed the PIs to directly get additional grants for more training, more information in pig livability. And so that multiplication effect has been very substantial, and really need to thank all of our partners that have helped make this, because with what we're doing, it doesn't get done without all of you in the room. And I would challenge you, if you have facilities, you have programs that you want us to be involved with, that's where you got to reach out and we can see where we can have mutual connections. Dr. Ross talked about this. This is about the people. This is about the next generation. It's about solving an issue now, but it's really about training that next group. We have been very fortunate. This project itself to date has funded 18 undergrad internships where we have employed them. We've put them in production systems, or they've mainly been at K-State or Iowa State, and we get them on farms. We do things in pig livability. The vast majority of all of them have went on to graduate school, veterinary school, have retained in the industry because somebody cared. And it was, that's our job at the university to provide that training, but many of you that we've been able to place them into, you understand the impact people have of you as you were younger in your careers in college or getting out. It's been hugely impactful. I would challenge you as well. This is internship season. I don't know, we just had our swine undergrad meeting. Dr. Goodban and I were there Monday night. They had the discussions on interns, who has offers where. I would really challenge you on these summer internships. There's a lot of projects that you all do already on pig livability. This isn't anything new. But if you have opportunities, want to partner, want to talk, let us know. Those are things that we can maybe fold in and be part of the bigger picture. And again, for me, even having 2 kids in college, and my daughter who had internships with two different systems in this room, that is valued so highly. And again, the impact you can make. The graduate students train, the undergrads that all get involved. I mean, some of the first people that were on was Edison and Jordan. When they were in their grad school time, they're both on faculty. And if you remember back, they're part of the project as faculty now at our different universities. So the impact's been large. So I want to shift gears now and talk about resources and what we have available and what's been put together. So at our piglivability.org website, there's a variety of ways we've tried to get information out. And I would encourage you to visit that site in terms of just seeing the robust amount of material there. First, let's go back. First is, maybe I'll start with the fact sheets first. We have a series, there are up to 35 fact sheets. The vast majority of these are in Spanish. A lot of these are front back. They're on practical topics that not only, some of it was off research, but some of it's just good practical topics. They can be printed off, put in the break room. They're not meant to be in conflict with farm SOPs. We recognize everybody maybe has different SOPs for different management practices, but we view these as an educational opportunity to provide to caretakers in particular about different management practices that hopefully can help supplement some of your training programs. We have economic tools for sows and wean to finish where you can plug in your own values and see the cost of mortality. We have done a number of short videos. A lot of this is the research generated where we have the student do a voiceover of the main slides and take-homes of all the different areas that we have conducted work in. And again, for all the different ways, I mean, we can call them a podcast, you can call them whatever you want. It's just voice over the slides. Oftentimes they're 10 to 12 minutes, so you can get the bottom line information. Here on the left is our Pig X podcast. We're in our 6th season. We do about 12 or so episodes a year. There's several people in here we've asked to be part of that. We know there's a lot of podcasts, and we know there's maybe almost podcast fatigue at times, and we get that. But this is a podcast solely devoted to pig livability, solely. So we're not all out on different topics. And again, most of these are not time dated, okay? You can go back to the first season 5 years ago, and there is topics still relevant today. The information still relevant today. So again, as you look at that, would encourage you, if you'd like, to subscribe to the Pig X so you can get those notifications. Really a nice job there, and a lot of time and effort goes into making that for all of you in our industry. On the Pig Livability website, we have buckets. So one of the tabs, there's gilt development, all the different headings that we put all the information in. So if you're interested in a particular production phase, a particular topic, we've organized it to dump the fact sheets, the short videos, the Pig X podcast links in that. So again, these websites, we understand, they all can be overwhelming in terms of as we start putting information in. We've tried to really keep it as simple as possible, depending on the information desired, to go and click on those and basically have that information at your fingertips. Again, back to different ways to get information out. A lot of this turns into scientific publications. So not only, I think a key in this is, not only does a project get done, it kind of gets on a website, where does this stay? A lot of this information forever stays in a peer-reviewed publication. So it can be used in references. It can be used in the future to have sound science behind a number of these projects. And again, press releases, invited presentations. Our group continually goes out and gets invited. We've had a number of pre-sessions at AASV, Lehman Conference, parts of that. And so again, our group's always happy to come visit about some of these topics that this project has generated. So with that, that's what I really wanted to cover this morning in terms of kind of the focus, but also make sure you understand what resources we have available. The other thing I would really want to point out is on our website, when we held the conference in 2021, again, all the 34 presentations are up, okay? Again, many of those topics are still relevant today. A lot of those do not get time dated. Here in about a month, we will have all these presentations are being recorded from today. So today we're in here for the whole day in large sessions. Tomorrow morning we have breakout sessions. So in the program you'll notice we have a couple different tracks. One, a track that's sow and pre-weaning, and a second track that's nursery and finishing, okay? So you have the option, there's breakouts which will be just down the hall. Again, all those will be recorded, so if you don't get to something, you can still get that information. And again, that'll be posted, and we'll send that link out. It'll probably be maybe about a month-ish by the time everything gets compiled from all the videos and the links. So again, we have all that information, so it's a living resource that can be used not only by yourselves, but clients or other people that you work with. So with that, that's what I have, Jason. I'll turn things back over to you.